we've put together some special segments for you. Sprinkled here and there in the middle of the regular Sowing Seed podcasts, we're planting episodes we're calling Growing the Seed. Here, we'll be documenting the steps we take along the sowing seed journey as we build a business and build a brand. You'll see it all, when it works and when it's a little messy. So, right here, right now for you, here's Growing the Seed with your host, Matt Miller.
Saturday morning, trying to take some time to get a bunch of content out here while I can. In fact, I like to batch a lot of the content I do for now the 5 different podcasts that I have. 2 of them are private, only for our School Spirit Vending franchise team, and each of those come out weekly. I have a public podcast called the School Zone School Fundraising Ideas Podcast, whose audience is primarily school administrators, volunteers, and educators who are looking for new and innovative school fundraising ideas for their school. And we interview all the players in that industry, which is where School Spirit Vending plays as well. Of course, the Sowing Seed podcast that this is an episode of. And then finally, a new show that we launched just a couple of weeks ago that those of you that are believers or those of you who want to learn more about what Christians believe, you can go to someguysandthebible.com. By the time this comes out, we'll be on iTunes as well. We'll be on Spotify and iHeartRadio, Google Play, etc. We've got all that in the works. But that show is basically 45 minutes long or close to it. It's myself and a good friend, Scott Hooper. In fact, Scott is the one that does the intros and outros for all of my shows, Sowing Seed included. He's a podcaster himself, and we started a Bible study, a weekly Bible study here a couple of years ago, and about 6-8 months ago, we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we started recording these and making them available? So that's what we've done. So Some Guys and the Bible, like I said, should be available on your podcast player of choice at this point. And it's just us going through a weekly Bible study covering typically a chapter out of the Bible, and we've started pretty much at the beginning. We're in Genesis still currently, and over the next number of years, just going to work our way each week through the Bible and share our thoughts and insights, and raise a lot of questions along the way too as we have those discussions. Anyway, I wanted to take a minute here today and talk about the importance of each and every one of us, especially that have businesses today, of becoming a media company. See, traditionally, we have all always thought of ourselves as a business. You know, I have a vending business, or I have a podcast, or I have a restaurant, or I have a fill in the blank. But in today's day and age, we really need to be that thing, but we also need to be a media company. We need to be producing content, either new content or, at a minimum, to be documenting what we do and giving our users, our listeners, our customers more insights and information into what we do, how we do it, what makes us tick, and some behind the scenes. Because today we have the ability with YouTube, with a podcast, with the internet, etc., to provide so much more than the traditional newspaper ad or TV commercial or direct mail piece, etc. And since social media is so much a part of each and every one of our lives, we have the ability to do some new, innovative, and creative things to get the word out, to endear people to us, and to grow our businesses. I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast here a couple of weeks ago, and he cited a couple of examples that when you think about them now and you see what has transpired because of them, make complete sense. But to most of us, we've probably never even thought of this before. The first example is the Guinness Book of World Records. Most of us are familiar with it, especially those that are, Generation Xers like myself and baby boomers before. We all remember seeing in the public library or getting ourselves the annual Guinness Book of World Records. Well, what most people don't realize is the Guinness brewery or beer company out of the UK started the Guinness Book of World Records. And they did that essentially because they found that records and tidbits of trivia, etc., were a lot of what people, especially when they're meeting people the first time in pubs around Europe, were talking about. So they decided to come up with the Guinness Book of World Records to provide even more information to fuel those conversations, hopefully keep people in bars longer because of better conversation, and, of course, sell more Guinness beer in the process. Another example is the Michelin Guide. And everyone has probably heard of, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star Michelin ratings for restaurants. Well, Michelin Tire Company produced the Michelin Guide. And they did that because they were finding, with the advent of cars and rubber tires, that the city dwellers were not driving as much as they needed to for Michelin to sell tires as fast as they wanted. They weren't burning through those tires nearly fast enough. So Michelin had a great idea. They would go out and start reviewing the chefs and the restaurants, especially out in the countryside to begin with, and making those reviews available to the city dwellers, and in the process get more city dwellers to drive to the country to burn through their tires more quickly so that Michelin could sell. The point of those two stories is the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want today. You're not limited to traditional marketing and advertising and media, and creativity and your willingness to regularly produce content is the only thing that's really standing in your way for making a name for yourself and your business and endearing people to you. A couple of great examples. I've got a friend of mine up in the Leavenworth, Kansas area. He's got a couple of ice vending machines. And as he and I have started to work together as part of the School Spirit Vending franchise, because they're brand new franchisees, I gave him some ideas and some encouragement on how he might get the word out about his ice machine business in a unique way, and start to use Facebook Live, to start to use regular Facebook posts, maybe some events, etc., to get people excited and to remind people on a regular basis about the ice machines that he has out there, and for them to think about him and his business every time they need ice for an event, etc. And Dave and his wife have started to do that, and haven't gotten any updates yet, but I know within a year or so, their business is going to be completely different, assuming they're willing to stick with it and continue to produce content. Another example of that is a good buddy of mine, Lance Battenfield, who has the Lingleville Country Store, where we do the Some Guys in the Bible podcast each and every week. And Lance has started doing short videos. He started doing posts, etc., because his country store is not just a place to stop and get a six-pack of beer or a soda or chips. They've got brisket tacos. They've got homemade pizzas. They've got brisket sandwiches. They have breakfast tacos. And what's really unique is they've got a coffee bar, an espresso bar there at the country store in Little Lingoville, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere. Well, nobody is doing what Lance is starting to do. And because of that, he is getting a huge audience and getting a lot of play, and a lot more people are seeing what he's doing each and every day and are doing exactly like me and making a decision to come out and check out what he's doing at the country store. My good buddy Scott Hooper, his son Chris works there, and they had a video shot by a guy locally. It was posted on YouTube. Scott decided to share it on Facebook, and as I was driving into town one day for my regular Starbucks run, I saw the video, and instead of going to Starbucks, I said, you know what? I'm going to go out to Lingoville. What the heck? It's a few minutes out of my way, but I want to check out what Lance is doing, because I had heard that he was doing something out there, but I just didn't know what. Well, that led to me being a regular customer there now. It led to us having our Bible studies there every Tuesday with a group of guys, Scott and I, and a bunch of others. It led to a bunch of business coming Lance's way. It's also led to my youngest daughter, Rebecca, working there as well because of social media, because of Facebook, because Scott just happened to share a video because his son works there, Chris, and he just wanted to let folks know that he was there and what they were doing. Guys, you have the power of that very thing at your fingertips. And so much of what you present should not be salesy. It should just have the focus on providing value to the people who might be your customers, and over time garnering trust, endearing them to you, and in the process generating and creating customers in a way that is very, very unique in today's day and age. I can't stress the importance of creating quality content, becoming a media company for yourself and your business, because that is the platform that will enable each and every one of us to launch whatever it is that we choose to do. Hope this helps, guys. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to the Sowing Seed Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a 5-star review in iTunes or your podcast player of choice. So until next time, go plant the seed you need to succeed.